And with Mike Wang confirming that there will be no significant changes to the launch day version of NBA 2K22's gameplay, combined with the initial reaction of the community, CNN can now project that NBA 2K22 is not only the best 2K launch in many years, it will likely be competing as one of the greatest 2Ks in recent memory. Without wasting time, let's get into why. Gameplay. Let's just start here. This is what everyone cares about. This makes or breaks any 2K game, sans all the extra stuff they do with the environments, the features. If the gameplay sucks, the game sucks. NBA 2K22's gameplay, as it's been released, does not suck. And to back that up, breaking tradition, I'm actually going to start with what's positive. This is one of the greatest year-to-year jumps in gameplay quality that I can remember, as it pertains to NBA 2K games. It starts with your AI teammates, which has actually become a meme amongst the community on Twitter because most people are playing My Career. You play My Career offline and you quickly realize TJ McConnell is basically Gary Payton. Now, that sounds like it would be trash, and in my opinion, it's one of the very few things that need to be tweaked in this game. However, it speaks to the broader point of the defense in the game being better overall. At least so far, gone are the days where your opponent could get online, spam pick and roll, break down your stupid teammates, and end up beating you to really no fault of your own. Upon testing out the 5-on-5 gameplay online, that was the first thing I noticed. Pick and roll defense is much improved, and unlike many previous years, your computer teammates seem to understand what you're doing with the controlled player on defense. Say maybe you want to cheat over and leave a guy open because he can't shoot and you want to clog the paint. Well, depending on how the offense moves, it really does seem like your teammates are moving according to what you're doing rather than moving in a set pattern that eventually leaves somebody else open. Of course, you can still break down defenses, that's just a part of basketball, but right off the bat, it really did seem like my computer teammates had my back and better understood what it was I was trying to do rather than it being 5 independent minds out there moving in a set pattern. Speaking of moving, if your build or whatever player you're using has good defensive attributes, you can actually play defense. Yes, you can stay in front of the ball handler. That's not to say there aren't demons on Park that are going to zigzag you to death and dribble gods that are going to get open for 3 no matter what you do, but even against them, you have a better chance. When I played NBA Live 19 on stream a couple of months ago, one of the 2 things I liked about that game was, yes, the defense did seem a little bit arcadish. It was almost like playing a mini game to guess where your opponent was going. However, I had the ability to stay in front of him. 2K has been notorious for having defenders just slide all over the place, thus making it easy for your opponent to do whatever he please. Get to the rim, green from the hash, and it's so improved as a matter of fact, it almost feels too good sometimes. I have run into builds on the Park and they're clearly running a certain badge where as long as they press square, they can likely rip you. There is a camp out there just saying learn how to dribble, learn how to protect the ball, but the amount of steals somebody can rack up with whatever badge they're using, I think it's excessive. I also don't want 2K to touch it because once they update something, they break something else, all of a sudden nobody can play defense. If they're going to tweak something that might totally ruin the improvements they made, I just don't want it. Leave it how it is. On the contrary, people who should not be able to guard you or they're in positions that are vulnerable, they can't guard you. Gone are the days where you're missing layups under the basket because somebody was just standing close. If the player you're using has the right attributes or the player that you've built, you've upgraded his close shot or layups, if it's where it needs to be, as long as you can get position or seal the post, you can take advantage of the post. In the online game I played with the Celtics, I had a nice drop step lane with Al Horford. I don't believe I would have ever gotten that to go last year, but I had the position, and just because Wiseman was there did not mean it was going to clink off the right side of the rim. It went in. I played against the Nets and I kept giving up position against LaMarcus Aldridge. He was getting right under the rim. Sure, he might be 100 years old, yet he's a big guy. He should be able to finish layups under the rim. Last year, I felt like that same maneuver resulted in a miss to the point that using the post was worthless, as it has been in many previous 2Ks. So whatever they did to the post, bravo, it's beautiful. You're forcing people to play help defense and possibly create a shot for another teammate. Speaking of which, that takes us to shooting. Shooting is so much better. It feels fair. Right now, my build does not have a great 3-point shot, so if I don't green, I'm not really making it, but greening feels significantly less difficult. And that's across modes, it's not just in my player. You go on my team, I'm assuming, or the mode that I've been playing with Play Now Online, and you will pay for leaving players open. It's not like last year where, if you were in the streams, you know, it basically became a meme that the Dallas Mavericks couldn't shoot. You could play somebody who was using Dallas, and as long as they weren't a demon with Luka, you could always beat them by just leaving everybody open. You make mistakes now, and you leave people open, they will dot you. Some think that making shots is too easy. I will admit that with my build having maybe a 75 3-pointer, I feel like I was greening maybe a little bit too many shots, but I don't want them to touch it. If you get a good high percentage look with a high percentage player, you should not have to spend hours mastering this game before you become a good shooter. The simple fact is, most of us don't have all day to play these games. Most of us don't want to play these games all day. Simple basketball should result in simple buckets, and oftentimes it does. I don't think the percentages are out of whack. And the last thing I'd say about gameplay is the pacing. In the video just last week saying goodbye to NBA 2K21, I made sure to note how just slow and sloppy that game felt. It always felt like you were running in mud, you could never quite get to the spot that you saw was open in time, and I feel like the pace across modes right now is pretty perfect. That was a big factor because amongst other things in 21, it just felt boring running in place. So when you've got a good paced game that allows you or gives you a chance to play defense and play multiple forms of offense, you have fun. It's a simple calculus. Fun gameplay equals fun game. There's features, by the way. Let's talk about what they did with the city. In my opinion, they improved everything that was wrong with this mode. Almost everything. Of course, we're in the first week, so technical issues are plenty right now. Very hard to squad up, very hard to send invites, but those are all things that you kind of just come to expect with video game launches, sadly. Sure, that'll be smoothed over in another 2 weeks or whenever they drop that update, but the city itself. Okay, first of all, it's more compact. Areas don't feel like they're a lifetime away. You can always fast travel back to your apartment, and it does not feel like you're in the middle of nowhere. Not only is there an abundance of players, but there are many NPCs, all doing different things. Some are laying in the grass, others are throwing frisbees. When you go to the shopping center, they're walking around with bags. It feels significantly closer to the open world experience that we were expecting, rather than just having an open world element in an NBA game. Oh, but don't get it twisted, they've lost their entire fucking minds with these VC prices. That's still out of whack. However, grinding your player, grinding within the city, to me, it feels fun. While the progression could be faster because badging out a build does seem to take a while, there is a lot to do, especially with your friends. Look, I don't think you should be playing this mode without your friends anyways, but if you are, they've accounted for that. They've got matchmaking, they've got places that you can go where, if you just want to hop on the city alone, you can go play randoms, and you can do so in a 1v1, 3v3. Catch is, you're all randoms. It's not like pulling up on a squad who's played 100 games together. That's an option that has been missing in 2K for some time, because most people don't play this mode alone, and it's useless if you and people who just met are going to be playing the God Squads. There's a plethora of quests for you to go complete, and it feels closer to an RPG rather than, oh, let me just go to this place and watch this lame cutscene, this cringe cutscene, and then move on. It's really not like that. There's actual events, things for you to participate in, things that may feel worth it. Some of the quests look kind of questionable. It was like, go take a selfie in front of this building with Jackson Ellis, I believe. But there are some that seem like a nice touch, i.e. the ones you begin the game with. When your player is deciding between the G League and college, you actually go talk to the old my players, I believe AI and Che. Listening in on the dialogue, they talk about events that happened in previous games, and they do so in a very fluid manner. They're reading like they care. They're not trying to be goofy and funny, which once again, I will never stop saying I don't know who they were trying to appeal to with that, but they've gotten better at it. Credit where credit is due. I haven't heard many lines that just straight up made me cringe. We are planets away from Be Fresh. We can just erase that and pretend it never happened like D-Wade in Cleveland. The courts look nice, the graphics look nice, and once again, if you're playing this with friends, right now you can basically do 3v3 because squatting invites, it's impossible. But when you do manage to get in and play with each other, it is fun. You're gonna run into demon builds and god builds, spammers, toxic players, but at the core, it is fun. When you upgrade your player to do certain things, when you've built them a certain way, you can take advantage of those things. The tools are there for you. Lastly, in my positives, I'll mention the shot meter. This got dogged out on Twitter when it was posted. It looked terrible. The screenshot looked terrible. The camera angle, I believe it was the rail camera angle that they used, it took up way too much of the screen. We had no clue what they were doing. In practice, it's actually a good meter. I like it. It's visually pleasing. It's very satisfying to green, which is something I also forgot. They just had fun with that. The animations that you can get when you green, the 35 sound effects that you can add, they range from clown horns to horses neighing, random things, but they create funny moments. It's just something playful that is a very nice touch that feels like it's from old basketball games. I don't believe a basketball game has ever had that feature, but it's of that same breed of just additions that you wouldn't think you would care about, but it felt like someone cared enough to add it. I don't know what I'm trying to say. It's cool. Aside from the technical issues with the rec center and trying to invite your friends, which will be over in probably 2.5 weeks, the negatives I would have are the steals, because I do think the steals are OP. I know TJ McConnell had 10 steals in a game one time, but as I said, I've come across builds that really do feel like they're playing with Stickum. If they press square, they will rip you. If you let them get close, they'll rip you. you. That part is excessive. If they were going to tweak something, just tweak it. Don't go fully updating it and you can never steal the ball again, because it's still very hard to intercept passes even when you're in the lanes. But the on-ball steals, I believe they should probably look at. I should not be able to equip a badge and just rip people at will. The blocking as well, same thing. It's very easy to block somebody. I've beaten numerous players. I've watched other people beat players off the dribble or beat them on the backdoor cut and still get volleyball spiked. That can happen, but it happens far too frequently. It's too easy to pull off. But once again, in 2K21, one of the major issues, maybe it wasn't such an issue in Park, but across other modes, I felt like I could be in good positions for blocks and never really get them. Do not want to go back to that. I would rather be able to block shots and have to avoid people blocking my shot than to just have it be practically a broken feature. So if they can't tweak that without totally ruining it, just don't touch it. And yeah, believe it or not, those are the 2 gameplay negatives I have for NBA 2K22. Everything else feels like you have control over it. If you get beat, a lot of the times it feels like there was something you could have done about it. With all this in mind, I will go on record here on September 14th, the time of this recording, and say that NBA 2K22 is a good and fun NBA 2K game. It is easily the best for launch that I've been on YouTube for, so that's 2K18 to now. Yeah, by far it's the best launch. It's not even close. And all they need to do right now is listen to the community. For the most part, the majority is happy. They're having fun, so there doesn't need to be a giant patch log next week, or the week after that, or the month after that. If you want to touch blocks and steals a little bit, sure. Everything else, just leave it alone, 2K. You done good this year. You done good. Well, those are my thoughts on NBA 2K22. Let me know what you think about it, whether you're playing it on PS5 or current gen. I promise we're gonna probably stop calling PS4 current gen around next year. When 2K23 comes out, we will officially be calling next gen current gen. It's just a thing. If you didn't live through the last console cycle, it's a thing. It phases out. Leave that in the comment section. I am streaming 2K22 quite a bit on Twitch because I'm having fun with it. It's simple. I stream often and I stream for a long time. So link in the comment section and description for that. Also, be sure to hit the like button, comment and sub if you enjoyed, while hitting the bell next to my name if you want notifications every time a new video drops. Appreciate you all watching, and I'll see you all on the next one.